Chapter 6 explores some of the dominant African American styles that had crossed over into mainstream popular charts to such a degree that Billboard, the chart measuring company in the U.S., stopped tracking R&B as a separate chart for a brief time in the 1960s. Formulaic methods and regional styles affected the variety of African American music in this decade. Created in Detroit, Michigan, by songwriters and performers tired of not being paid for their music, Motown Records had Berry Gordy Jr. as its leader and visionary. Gordy visualized a hit factory that could record and distribute popular music by African Americans, but that everyone, regardless of their ethnicity, could enjoy. Motown was the first entirely owned and operated African American label in the U.S. Gordy modeled Motown on a series of assembly line concepts similar to the automobile manufacturing industry in Michigan. Gordy hired some of the best songwriters, studio musicians, and studio staff in the business. Every performer went through a refinement process which included choreography, costuming, diction lessons, and etiquette classes. The result was a series of smash hits for Motown, with their girl group, the Supremes, being the only group in the U.S. that gave the Beatles a challenge on the charts in the early 1960s. Berry Gordy Jr. had an eye and ear for talent. Motown had a variety of popular boy and girl groups, soloists, duos, family groups, and young prodigies. Stevlin Morris, who was dubbed the Wonder Child due to his age and incredible musical abilities, had his first hit at the age of only 13. He is known today as Stevie Wonder. One of the most successful songwriting teams for the Motown label was Holland Dozier Holland. This team of two brothers and a friend wrote almost every hit for the Supremes. The legacy of Chess Records from Chicago held strong, as did the VJ, OK, and Brunswick labels during this expanding time for African American music. The Impressions, led by singer and songwriter Curtis Mayfield, would produce songs with more serious themes, which were well suited for the struggles of the civil rights movements of the time. In the southern part of the U.S., Atlantic Records was the label for soul music. Artists like Otis Redding, Wilson Pickett, and the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, had a less refined and sometimes more emotionally authentic style than some Motown acts. A heavy gospel influence is present with all of the Atlantic and Stax artists. As early as 1955, James Brown had soulful hits like Please, Please, Please. His energy and live performances were legendary. James Brown did what no other African American had at the time. He recorded at his own expense Live at the Apollo in 1962, which went on to be a huge success. By the late 60s and into the 70s, Brown's music evolved into a funky style with more emphasis on polyrhythms, staccato vocals, and complex bass lines. He is often given the title the King of Funk. Once African American styles had successfully crossed over into mainstream markets, the dam had burst, so to speak. And after Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination in 1968, African American music would continue to evolve and reflect societal changes.